Greetings, I'll be presenting on supporting and understanding LGBTQ plus youth in California. I'll explore what LGBTQ plus youth are experiencing, particularly in school environments, and how we, as school psychologists, counselors, and educators, can help create safer, more affirming spaces for them to thrive. LGBTQ plus youth in California continue to face disproportionate challenges in terms of safety, mental health, and belonging. While California has progressive laws, many students still don't feel safe and supported in schools. This presentation looks at both personal and systemic factors affecting these students, as well as solutions that have been shown to work. The goal is to understand their experiences and how school psychologists and counselors can do to help. For many gay and queer youth, identity development is a complex and emotionally heavy. Adolescence is already a vulnerable time, but for LGBTQ plus students, it's often marked by fear, rejection, and deep insecurity. When thinking about youth identity and self-acceptance, we can take a look at the statement, "I really felt like I was a freak. I was really different because people were telling me that all the time. I wish I was like everyone else. I wish I was normal." This quote, along with the next clip, speak to the pressure to conform and the pain of being treated as other during a time when all young people want to do is belong.
Myself, and part of that was because I was ashamed of being gay, and no wonder really that it then caused me to get so low and, you know, feel the way I did about things.
LGBTQ plus youth often lack family or school support, leading to diminished self-esteem. They're also more likely to self-medicate with substances like alcohol, marijuana, cocaine at a higher rate than their peers.
How bad did the bullying get?
At one point, a group of girls had spread a rumour that I'd said I'd done stuff with an older boy, and the boy found me the next day, grabbed me by the throat at the top of a set of stairs and pushed me down them.
Wow.
Mum phoned the school, had a go at them, and I think the next day or something, she had a meeting with the headmistress and told her she's taking me out of school and she ain't bringing me back. You feel like you're alone, you have no one to go to, you feel insecure about yourself, you feel like there is completely nothing you can do to change it. And people targeting you for no apparent reason apart from you being you is just heartbreaking. At one point I was self-harming quite badly, and I do still have scars from it. I was quite suicidal. I admit I did try to attempt it.
The quote, "You feel like you're alone. You feel insecure about yourself. At one point, I was self-harming quite badly. I was quite suicidal." These aren't isolated stories. They reflect a larger pattern of emotional harm caused by unsupportive environments and social rejections. Mental health challenges among LGBTQ plus aren't inherent to their identities. They're driven by stigma, isolation, and bullying. The numbers reinforce these narratives. In California, 73% of LGBTQ plus students have faced discrimination, 41% had suicidal thoughts. Nationally, nearly half of LGBTQ plus youth report being bullied in person. Suicide risks are alarming. 12% of LGBTQ plus attempted suicide in the past year, and 50% lack mental health care. These figures underline the urgent need for schools to intervene and support these students more effectively. Beyond schools, the broader social-political climate matters. According to the Trevor Project, 90% of LGBTQ plus youth say politics have negatively affected their mental health. Almost half of transgender and non-binary youth have considered moving to escape the LGBTQ plus laws. Hostile policies send a message that these students are unwelcome, and that could be devastating. In California, LGBTQ plus continue to face serious challenges to their safety, mental health, and sense of belonging, especially within school settings. According to the report from Louder, 73% LGBT students state have experienced discrimination, 41% have had suicidal thoughts. Transgender and Black, Indigenous, and people of color youth are disproportionately impacted. Many students report not feeling safe or supported in school, underlining the urgency of systemic change. Cultural identity also interacts with sexual and gender. Latinx youth may face challenges related to machismo and marianismo, which uphold rigid gender roles. Asian American youth often deal with stigma tied to both their race and sexual identity. There's also strengths. Native American communities have traditionally recognized two-spirit identities, showing that inclusive support can be rooted in culture as well as policy. Supporting LGBTQ plus students of color, Schreiber emphasizes that creating a social, just school climate recognizes how systemic oppression affects marginalized youth. LGBTQ plus students of color often face compound barriers. Our role as counselors, psychologists, is to guide students through the process of identity development, acknowledging the complexity of navigating cultural, ethnic, and sexual orientation identities at once. To effectively support students of color, we must practice cultural humility. Social justice in schools depends on international practices that validate each student's lived experiences. This includes acknowledging cultural nuances and ensuring that advocacy is visible and consistency, both in counseling sessions and school-wide initiatives. In Sacramento, the LGBTQ plus service program offers inclusive spaces and guidance for staff. Students here feel safe when school provides gender-affirming spaces. They feel they have inclusive curricula, and they have consistent adult support. Legally, California has strong protectors in place. Title IX now includes gender identity and sexual orientation. State law expands on this by allowing students to use facilities and participate in programs consistent with their identity. But laws alone aren't enough. They must be matched with leadership, implementation, and day-to-day practices that affirm students' rights. The next steps. School psychologists and counselors, educators are key to changing school climates. That means actively using inclusive language, displaying supportive material, and working with LGBTQ plus allies. Advocacy shouldn't be hidden or occasional. It needs to be visible, regular, and part of our school culture. When adults lead with intention, students feel it. Some helpful resources from the California Department of Education. The CDE offers guidance and resources to help schools create inclusive and safe environments for students. It includes policy information, best practice, and professional development tools for educators and staff. The Trevor Project provides 24/7 intervention and suicide prevention services for LGBTQ plus youth. It offers research, educational materials, and advocacy tools to improve mental health outcomes in schools and communities. The Human Rights Campaign Foundation Welcoming Schools program. This is a national program that offers LGBTQ and gender-inclusive training, lesson plans, and resources for elementary schools. It helps educators create respectful, affirming classrooms through anti-bias education and inclusive policies. To close, LGBTQ youth deserve more than just survival. They deserve to thrive. Schools are where they spend most of their time, and those spaces must be safe, respectful, and affirming. With the right practices and policies, we can create environments where youth are not just accepted, but empowered. Thank you.